Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the newest Merurin mail from epicseven, and with it, basically they've outlined or given us a roadmap for all the updates upcoming in October, November, and I guess early-ish details for December, though as far as I could tell, they're going to give us another update for content in December. With it though, unfortunately, we don't have Fern's buff, if this is something that you're curious about. Now, again, I know that's a bit of a divisive topic, as some people think she's okay, some people wanted her to be more insane, but ultimately, regardless of which side of the fence you're on, she is not receiving a buff, at least from what we can tell from this initial patch, which is, it is what it is. With that, let's get straight into it, as there is a lot that they've announced and kind of teased, and let's actually begin first with the Guild War tournament, which I honestly think is pretty cool. Now, in terms of the Guild War tournament and what this features, this is a new mode, and it features the top 32 guilds in the game, which is pretty cool. Now, this is going to occur, or this is going to start following the current Guild War season, which is pretty nice, but if you are someone that is participating or interested in the Guild War tournament, or the Guild War semi-revamp in terms of rewards in this tournament, you can see that there are a number of new banners, or rather new frames that you can have access to, and the first place guild will also receive a special frame, which looks pretty cool, honestly. Now, important to note here, by the way, is that all members of said first guild will also receive said frame, which is super prestige, and honestly I'm a big fan of, just vanity wise. But next, alongside this, they're also adding a guild lobby revamp, which is pretty cool, but as you're seeing, of course, this is aiming for the first quarter of next year, and again, though this tournament is going on and we don't exactly know how long the tournament is going to go on for, of course there are going to be some rewards or some additions that aren't making it in during this first I guess guild tourney season. Now, in addition to this, it is worth mentioning that even though this is primarily fixated on top 32 players, or rather top 32 guilds and their players, you will also be able to do a prediction event and vote for who you think will win. Now, of course, this is pretty significant, not just because not because, well, you get a direct bonus for this prediction, but from what I understand, and yeah, as you can see here, a lot of what the value of predicting correctly, of course, is that there's a shop that you can then use to purchase molas, some other resources, which are all pretty, at this point, pretty standard that you can find from other stores or from other event shops, but it is still worth it, of course, and this is pretty free. All you have to do is vote on who you think is going to win, which is kind of nice, as again, this is just another added currency or another currency source that you could do every day in epicseven, and it doesn't really cost you anything. Obviously, you're just voting on who you think can win. Now, this next piece of content, I'll be honest, I'm a bit confused about. They teased and kind of showcased like this whole Zeo, Dark Zeo, and Sharoon activity. From what I understand, this is like another side story event, or this is a different sort of event. Now, they kind of teased this or paired this alongside Young Senya, which kind of took away from I guess like the initial explanation of what's going on, but effectively the activity or the side story or the event or the activity that we're being given is a semi Young Senya-esque new side story that they're adding to the game. They've, according to them, made new improvements so that movement feels less clunky, or it makes more sense, and you can walk across tiles way more easy, which is okay, I guess it is what it is. Personally, I was not a huge fan of the Young Senya side story, just because it came at a time where I was much more busy, and I wasn't able to fully appreciate, I think, the side story itself. That said, I've always said that epicseven innovating or trying things new, or trying new things in whatever mode or source that they do, I think is always fine. However, I was not a huge fan of how long the Young Senya side story activity itself took. Now, again, I know a lot of you guys are probably enjoyers of like the lore and the story, and the fact that you got to see more about Alencia and Young Senya, which is cool, amazing, respect that. However, the implementation and honestly just the way that the activity felt in general felt like at least to me, like a way more strung on single player ancient inheritance type activity, which might be appealing to some players in a different format than the usual click right, like top right and click skip for your side story event or dialogue. But overall, I think that I was not the only one to kind of feel that the activity and the movement and the overall experience from the Young Senya side story, though moving and touching maybe in story or lore, was not necessarily executed to the perfect or in a perfect way, especially when it kind of felt like a stand-in or a like an associated or like a brother or sister activity to something like Ancient Inheritance. Now, it also probably didn't help that there weren't, as far as I could tell, like very many like unique rewards, or it didn't feel like there was something like very interesting about like the combat or anything related to that when it came to the side story. But obviously, a lot of what I'm saying, I understand. These are just personal biases towards the activity. However, objectively, what they're doing is releasing, as far as I can understand, or as far as I understand, a second version of this with Phantasmal Barrier. And they've, again, added a lot of quality of life to it, which I think is pretty cool. Alongside this, though, they're also adding an exchange event, which is pretty cool. And I guess Phantasmal Barrier will be updated or included on the October 23rd update. Though, again, I'm not entirely sure what they mean by updated. As far as I can tell, it's not in the game currently, but I assume this is going to, of course, be something that they add into the game. Now, in addition to this, there's also, again, alongside this pedal event, you can also receive these free spectral cores and energy, which is pretty huge. And these, of course, or rather, these spectral cores, of course, can then be used to acquire event currency and receive different rewards from the shop. Pretty cool. This includes mana, the mana restore stones, selectors, basically anything you can imagine from an event store at this time, which is pretty cool, especially since we have an energy restore event going on. Now, the next thing that they teased was a new class summon, which is pretty cool. Now, normally I'm on the fence about this. Like, I've seen very negative reception to the new class summon, as despite it being something that's supposed to allow players to catch up if they've missed limited artifacts or things of this nature, there's been a lot of negative reception towards it, because like the rates or the experience as a whole of pulling for some of these artifacts feels really bad. But as far as I could tell, this new artifact is not a limited, or as far as I could tell, there's no, like, this isn't trying to replace a Rem or a Rimuru or like an Amelia artifact. This artifact is called Master of the Nightmare, which it seems is related to the new activity. Now, again, though the class summon is coming back, or rather I should say the class summon is coming for the first time. Though the class summon is coming for the thieves, I should say, this artifact is a first-time artifact, as far as I could tell. And again, the effect is not really anything to scoff at. It increases your attack by 20%, and after using a basic attack, you have a 40% chance to be granted an extra turn. This looks like probably a fine artifact for some of the like opener or like fast characters, I guess, in general. Though admittedly, for a lot of thieves, this whole extra turn thing doesn't seem super consistent, or like something that a lot of people would want to bank on or go 50-50 on, as again, it's not guaranteed. And even for an artifact like Arnell, that even feels a bit more, or feels like something you'd already have, which would maybe offer a better substitute for this Master of the Nightmare. We'll have to see exactly what the purpose of this artifact is, who this is supposed to be designed for. As far as I could tell, again, since this is also a new sort of event, they've included the two artifacts basically guaranteed for pity if you just pull for 240, or if you pull 240 times, I believe, I don't think this is based on how many bookmarks that you're using. Correct me if I'm wrong. However, again, based on this, I don't necessarily know why this artifact is coming or being released, or if this is supposed to be attached towards a limited character or something of this nature. Overall, though, again, I think it is nice, I guess, if you were already going to pull on this banner, if you wanted an extra artifact that kind of feels like a pseudo RNL. Again, as far as I could tell, this isn't something that I think is mandatory, or this doesn't feel like a limited artifact that you must get right now, unless of course they add a new character or they're adding a character that is going to use it. But of course, this is also available from the Powder of Knowledge shop, though it feels like, at least in this case, it's more of a spending or summoning event, similar to the things that I'm sure you've seen from other gacha games. Now, in addition to this, they've also added a couple of quality of life things, which are honestly pretty nice. This is mostly from the sorting sort of end, where it allows you to do things now like sort for characters that are equipped with certain sets, which is again pretty nice. This lets you just run through all the characters that have equipped sets. Now, in addition to this, you can also sort with heroes that have certain buffs, or rather that have certain effects in them. That includes things that obviously they're saying here. You can find heroes that have effects that aren't buffs or debuffs. You could also find or sort by things like having combat readiness decreases, extinction, or buff dispel, which is huge. But in addition to this, there's now a substat filter, which I think is something that a lot of people have been maybe unaware about, or weren't as aware of how insane it can be in terms of sorting through this because of how much gear we have now. But yeah, like, it is something where you will on occasion want to look for a specific set of stats. You're not just looking for attack and crit rate, or attack and speed. Sometimes you want attack, speed, crit rate, crit damage, or sometimes you want ER, speed, HP, and defense. But this is something in the past where you'd have to just sort by like HP and defense, and then kind of manually look for something with speed or something along those lines, which is honestly, again, another pretty nice quality of life. They've also now allowed you to or rather they've added recommendations for artifacts, which is pretty nice. But overall, these changes I think are pretty nice for players that are getting to know or getting back into the swing of things, or are starting epicseven for the first time. But again, I think this is honestly a set of changes, quality of life wise, that any player can appreciate, as again, they're just nice. They help you sort through the game quicker. Nothing too insane though. Again, more of a quality of life, as you heard, headache relief sort of change. Now, they did also mention that we're receiving, or initially I should say, I thought that we were going to be receiving a lot more like character trailer, or like character train sort of animation train things from this Merurin mail, but they seem to have gone with a lot more story or more lore based effects in this sort of update. Now, for this specifically, they're referencing, or effectively what they're doing is they're introducing the Elder of the Elves, Saria, who is someone that we saw back in episode 1. Of course, a lot of you guys have probably seen that very touching or very moving art or animation if you've gone through, but at this point it's been quite a while since we've seen her. With this, as far as I can understand, this character is going to be released in November. They've shown a bit of her kit, or rather I should say her animations and her design. She looks pretty good, honestly. Not much else to say about it. We don't know anything about what she does. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to intertwine this whole how she stays alive, but obviously she has some sort of side story, so I'm assuming they're showing a before that animation sort of screen. But as you can see, she has a few mock-ups of her design, which looks pretty cool. Honestly, again, pretty cool looking design of a character. Would have expected maybe a few more characters to be introduced, but that's a bit of a spoiler or a teaser for what we're going to see. Overall though, again, like this animation that you're seeing, pretty cool, can't really complain. We of course only have a few animations that we're seeing right now, which is okay, that's fine, but I'm sure as they've just been done and have been working on a lot of things behind the scenes, this is all that we've gotten right now. Now, in addition to this, they did have, and further reinforcing this whole lore focused session or update, they've re-teased, or they're now stepping full into the whole Moonlight Theater, and more specifically the Cannaaaa Academy season. They are introducing the limited character that won from the art contest, which is the Sigrid. And although a lot of people were very confused about how this character even relates to or looks like Sigrid, which honestly I have to agree, this is not who I would have thought looks like Sigrid. This honestly kind of looks more like a Rom or like Landy or something than Sigrid. But they've also introduced a new character, which is Yulha. Now, if you're curious as to how, or if you are maybe wondering if I misspoke, no, this is Yulha, and maybe it's just because she's missing like these signature dots on her forehead or something, but this is really not who I thought Yulha would have turned out to be in terms of the next Moonlight design. She is going to be coming after Wretched Rose, which obviously she's already released, which is cool, but in terms of her design, it's very different. I'll say that. I don't think it's a very poorly designed character either, though, because as we'll see through her animation and through some of her idols and stuff, this is a pretty well designed looking character. Maybe not necessarily Yulha, but like as you can see through this design, like very, very cool. She's still got the Psycho Rampage thing going on, which is to me honestly about as far as this character looks similar to Yulha, which I mean, again, I guess they don't necessarily have to look super similar to each other, or maybe just from my own personal bias, I don't necessarily see Yulha. But again, as they teased, we have Swift Rider Sigrid, who's another character who you could also argue kind of doesn't look similar to each other. In any case, though, Sigrid is pretty cool. Her whole design, at least from the tease, is obviously that she has to do with racing. She uses her flag quite a bit in this animation or design. We don't exactly know what she's going to do, but as far as what we've seen from animations, she looks like more of a buffer than a DPS herself. Through her animations, and as you'll see in a moment, she kind of like stands atop, as you saw there, like other racers, which is pretty cool. But again, whether or not that's a DPS ability or whether or not that's more something where you buff the team, give attack increases, etc., that's for you to decide. Now, in addition to this, we've also seen a new tease, or rather a reminder tease of Merurin. And again, these are some of the characters that we've already seen. So as I was mentioning kind of earlier, though we are being reminded of a lot of these characters, if you're awaiting something like a big animation showcase of all these characters, we have gotten some, but again, I think maybe some players were waiting for a full train, or maybe like a, hey guys, like here's what's coming in like the next 6 months worth of characters, as opposed to this, which is again just a personal preference. I think this is totally fine too. Now, in terms of what we've seen, again, we're finally being shown or revealed the release date for the new Merurin as well. She's coming in Cannaaaa Academy Season 3, so although we don't have a hard date, again, we're seeing her design again. This is pretty cool, obviously, because she has the Emma Lua little plush here, which is pretty cool, or honestly pretty well designed is where I'd really more say. But in addition to this, again, they are trying to wrap up the Cannaaaa season, or the Cannaaaa Academy world, which is pretty cool. Or honestly, I don't know exactly what their goal is with some of these stories. I'll be the first to say it. I'm not necessarily super caught up with a lot of these stories, but I know that many players have been enjoying them. And as far as I could tell, the addition of being able to get more mystics from this activity, or from this event, or I guess mode, is something that a lot of people appreciate. And as usual, epicseven, especially when it comes to animations and anime, and their designs are pretty high quality. So the fact that they're going back and working on, or not forgetting, the Moonlight Theater is always nice. But they did also, I guess, have a recent survey where they voiced the fact that they wanted, I guess, the existing one of the existing Moonlight Theater stories to be concluded. There do appear to be a lot, and I know that there are a lot of lore people, again, who enjoy this, so that's fine. But guys, that was pretty much the entire event. They did also announce a new, as far as I can tell, RTA-ish mode. Again, this one's a bit kind of vague for me. Basically, this is like a new mode where you queue up against other players, and then you have like a set of characters. It's called Orbis Gladiatorium, Call the Heavens. It feels a lot like draft mode with like a few more bells and whistles, which is cool. But yeah, effectively, like, you pick your characters, you play the characters out, that's fine, and then you have to like affect your gameplay by using one of these upgrades. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the Epic7 October to November update. Train, again, we saw a bit of the not train, but reveal, I guess. We didn't get, again, a huge line of changes that I think maybe some players wanted. They seem to have focused a lot more on the lore or the PvE this time around, which is fine. And like, again, I don't necessarily expect like a huge plethora of things lined up, as again, we just had the Freeman collab. That said, I wasn't super I guess we'll have to wait and see how the Phantasma barrier works. I guess, like, for those of you that, again, really liked the Young Senya activity, and if you're someone that I guess is a part of like the Guild War scene, or if you appreciate Guild War, this is also pretty nice. But yeah, like, the quality of life, I guess, like the new character reveals and this new mode kind of give a little bit of everything for everyone, which is nice. But yeah, that's basically all that they revealed from today's video. Thanks again for watching, though, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Honestly, probably about a 7 to 8 out of 10 sort of patch. And yeah, I'll be waiting and excited for the next update. Thanks again for watching, though, guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.